starting from the top, how did your relationship with Joachim Trier first form? You two have become kind of inseparable in a Linklater and Hawk type of way. And I'd love to hear how you guys have how you first came to meet him and how the relationship has evolved.
Yeah. So I met Joachim during the casting of Reprise, his first film. We had never met before that, but Oslo is a small city, so we could have met. He's a little bit older than me, but we've been in the same circles for years before that, and we had an excellent experience making that film together, and we became friends afterwards. And we sometimes talked about maybe it would have been fun to do something again, but I was quite surprised when he approached me with Oslo August 31st. I had never foreseen that we should work together on his second film as well, and that was also a very nice, intense experience. And I think that we have used our private friendship a lot in our professional collaboration. And for a film like this, it feels like all the conversations that we've had about real life, about relationships, our own problems, is a kind of research for a character like this.
So how do you go about picking projects, both with Joachim and generally? I know you have your second career as a doctor. On a personal note, I'm a lawyer with two kids who's struggling to find the time to write film criticism. So I have so much respect for your ability to balance all of these things. I'm curious what pulls you in to commit yourself to a film or a TV project.
I try to be selective. I try to only pick the projects that I deeply care about. And I really have to, because I don't have time for anything more than that. But I don't know, it's a mix of that and what you actually get offered. For me, it starts with a good script. I've never been part of a project where it hasn't started with me deeply believing in the script and finding the script meaningful in a way. So that's the first and most important thing, and then it's the director's vision, what the director wants with this film. But I try to the project itself and the script is most important when I pick a project.
So how did it come together with Worst Person? How much of it was Joachim reaching out to you and saying, it's time, or we should get back together? Mm-hmm. How much of it was him saying, here's a script, what do you think? Or the sort of fruitful conversations that you mentioned earlier?
Oh, I knew that he was making a film with Renate as the lead character, but I didn't expect to be offered a role in the film. So when he did, he actually said, okay, I think this role could be a role for you. My only concern is that you're probably not old enough. Because we could see that the age difference was quite important for the bad timing element of the love story, but also the contrast with her being a millennial and my character being a Gen X, or what it's called. It was important that they had to have different references. But then when we started talking about it, it slightly pivoted from that to what the character could represent thematically, because it was not a psychological portrait of him. and he as a character, he would always be seen from her point of view. But when we started talking about how he could represent the passage of time and the melancholy of the passage of time, we could hopefully link the film to the other two films in the trilogy and make a thematic entity. Yeah.
Tell me about your relationship with Renate Reinsve. I know you worked together at least for a handful of scenes in Oslo, August 31st. But what was it like to slip into really such an intense relationship with her, even from the film's earliest scenes? It's kind of diving deep into the age gap and.
Yeah, it sounds on the paper. It sounds like a very a scary thing to do when you don't know someone that well, but I always felt secure with and comfortable with Renate because she's so much fun to work with, and she's generous and funny and creative, and she's not afraid of analyzing a scene into the most minute detail. She's not afraid of that. But she can also go into deep emotional territory right after. So she's like very shameless when it comes to exploring, using different methods, whatever it takes. We know at the end of the day, what appears in front of the camera is what matters. And we're not so interested in how to get there. It's just a trial and error process,
It's interesting because I love so many of the little tiny specifics in the relationship. The way that Axel is concerned that she's going to break the little lock on the apartment window, that's
improvised.
I was going to ask is how many of those little details come from you guys playing around on set and trying different things, or how much of it is in the script? Like I think of the sort of conspiratorial way you guys lower your voice when you're in that. I guess it's a shed at the family gathering that it feels so natural. Mm-hmm. I was curious what the process was like.
Yeah, that's what we worked the most to achieve, is to create the illusion of a long-term relationship. Someone who knows each other very well, and there's an intimacy that is not like a physical intimacy all the time, but intimacy can be so much. It can be, as you say, it can be like lowering your voice in a special way when you talk about her dad's back problems or his prostate problems, So we worked quite hard to make that as believable and real as possible. But we have something that we've developed that we call a jazz take, which is we try to be as well rehearsed as possible, so that we really know the content and the beats and the basic structure of a scene, because that makes us more free. It liberates us so that we can concentrate on energy in the room and unexpected happy accidents that might occur when you shoot a scene, and have focus on that, because then you will get spontaneity from that, and you can get direction and composition from the scripted scene. So it's a way of riffing around and improvising over chord changes, So the small parts where I'm afraid it's going to break the window and all that, I think those moments are results of us being well prepared, and then we can just use that freedom to something else.
One of the other things I think is really interesting about this character is how we have someone who, on the one hand, is passionate about the artistic credibility of a cartoon feline's butthole, and on the other hand, is sort of running up against the tension of changing societal norms. And I was curious what it was like to approach what I think is a very complex character dealing with these shifts in generational expectations.
Yeah, it's a very good question. But the thing about he's a graphic novelist and a comic book artist, and the beauty about that medium is that there's absolutely no borders between high culture and low culture, and it's a big paradox with high culture is that all of the shameful parts of the human experience. Like going to the toilet or whatever, is tabooed or omitted from high culture. I like one cliche about that, but in cartoons, it's just one. It's just one big Freudian universe where everything can be aestheticized, everything can be regarded as art. So I think that with his vision of art, it made perfect sense that he would end up as a graphic novelist and comic book artist.
One last parting question is what's next for you? Are there any film projects in the pipeline?
Yeah, there's always projects in the pipeline, but as I said to someone else, the film industry has always been unpredictable, and you never know when things go into production and when projects get fully financed. And with the pandemic, it's gotten even more unpredictable. So there's no projects at the moment that I can talk about, but I guess there will be some more filming. But yeah.
Well, I look forward to it. Congratulations. This film was wonderful. I quite love Bergman Island as well. So I look forward to seeing everything you have in the future, and I really appreciate you taking the time today.
Thank you so much.